Do you really want to improve your English and learn history at the same time? Then this video is specially designed to help you enhance your vocabulary, pronunciation, and comprehension skills while learning about one of the most influential leaders in American history. We will explore the life of Woodrow Wilson, his leadership during World War I, and his role in shaping global peace through the League of Nations. By watching this video, you'll not only improve your English fluency, but also expand your understanding of significant historical events. Try pausing the video to repeat sentences and practice pronunciation. Take notes on new words and their meaning and use them. Use them in your daily conversations to boost your confidence. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Early Life and Education. Thomas Woodrow Wilson was born on December 28, 1856, in Staunton, Virginia, USA. His father, Joseph Ruggles Wilson, was a preacher, and his mother, Janet Woodrow Wilson, came from a family with a history of education. Woodrow's family moved a lot during his early years because of his father's work. Wilson's family valued education, and he was a very bright student from a young age. Woodrow Wilson attended Princeton University, where he studied history and political science. He was an excellent student and graduated in 1879. He went on to study law at the University of Virginia, but he soon realized that law was not the field he wanted to pursue. Instead, he chose to focus on political science and history. Wilson then went to Johns Hopkins University, where he earned his PhD in political science in 1886. After completing his education, Wilson began his career as a teacher. He taught political science at various universities, and his academic work on American government gained him recognition as an expert in the field. Wilson's knowledge of politics and history would later help him become one of America's most influential leaders. Chapter 2: Career before the Presidency. Before becoming president, Woodrow Wilson had a successful career in academics and politics. In 1902, he became the president of Princeton University. During his time at Princeton, Wilson worked to reform the university, making it more modern and progressive. He challenged the traditional ways of running the university and was known for his strong leadership. Wilson's work at Princeton brought him into the political spotlight, and in 1910, he decided to run for the governorship of New Jersey. He won the election and became governor in 1911. As governor, Wilson focused on reforming the state's government. He pushed for new laws that helped workers and aimed to reduce the power of big businesses. Wilson was successful in enacting progressive reforms, which made him a rising star in the Democratic Party. Wilson's success as governor led him to run for the presidency in 1912. His platform focused on progressive reforms, such as stronger regulations on business, better conditions for workers, and the creation of social safety nets. His ideas appealed to many Americans who wanted change from the existing political system. In the 1912 election, Wilson defeated his opponents and became the 28th President of the United States. Chapter 3: Presidency Begins. Woodrow Wilson was inaugurated as president on March 4, 1930. His presidency began during a time of great change and challenges for the United States. Wilson immediately started working on his domestic agenda. He focused on economic reform, seeking to reduce tariffs and break up monopolies that controlled various industries. One of Wilson's major achievements in his first term was the creation of the Federal Reserve System. This system was designed to stabilize the American economy by controlling the money supply and regulating banks. Wilson believed that a central bank would help prevent financial panics and promote a more stable economy. Wilson also worked to improve the conditions for workers and limit the power of big businesses. He passed laws that regulated child labor, limited working hours, and ensured that workers had safer conditions. These reforms were a key part of Wilson's progressive agenda, and they helped improve the lives of many Americans. Chapter 4: World War I and U.S. involvement. Woodrow Wilson's second term as president was marked by the outbreak of World War I in Europe. At first, Wilson tried to keep the United States neutral, believing that America should stay out of the conflict. He believed that the war was not in the best interests of the United States and that it could be avoided through diplomacy. However, the situation changed when Germany began sinking American ships and interfering with U.S. trade. Wilson asked Congress to declare war on Germany in April 1917. He argued that the United States had a moral responsibility to fight for democracy and peace. The U.S. joined the Allied powers, including Britain, France, and Russia, in their fight against Germany and the Central Powers. Wilson believed that the war should be fought to make the world safe for democracy. He was determined to ensure that the post-war world would be different from the one that had led to the conflict. Wilson's vision for the future included the creation of a League of Nations, a group of countries that would work together to prevent future wars. Chapter 5: The End of World War I and the Treaty of Versailles. After years of fighting, World War I ended in November 1918. Woodrow Wilson played a significant role in shaping the peace process that followed. He was one of the leaders who attended the Paris Peace Conference in 1909. Wilson worked hard to ensure that the peace treaty would include his ideas for a new world order. One of Wilson's main goals was the creation of the League of Nations. He believed that a global organization could prevent future wars by promoting cooperation between nations. The League of Nations was included in the Treaty of Versailles, which officially ended the war. Wilson also proposed other ideas, such as self-determination for countries and fair treatment for all nations. However, Wilson's efforts were not fully successful in the United States. The U.S. Senate refused to ratify the Treaty of Versailles, and the United States did not join the League of Nations. Many Americans were opposed to being involved in international affairs and wanted to focus on domestic issues. Wilson was disappointed by the Senate's decision, but his vision for a peaceful world order lived on. Chapter 6: Domestic Challenges and the Progressive Era. During his presidency, Woodrow Wilson faced several domestic challenges. He worked to pass many progressive reforms, but not all of them were popular. For example, Wilson's support for segregation in federal offices angered many civil rights leaders. His policies on race were seen as a step backward by many African Americans. Wilson's progressive policies were also challenged by business interests and conservative politicians. However, Wilson was determined to push forward with his agenda. He believed that the government should play an active role in protecting the rights of workers and consumers and regulating business practices. Despite these challenges, Wilson achieved significant progress in areas such as labor rights, banking reform, and education. His administration also focused on environmental protection and conservation. Wilson's domestic policies laid the foundation for many of the social and economic reforms that would follow in the 20th century. Chapter 7. Wilson's health declines. In 1909, after the end of World War I, Woodrow Wilson's health began to decline. He suffered a stroke that left him physically weak and mentally exhausted. Wilson was unable to perform his presidential duties as effectively as he had before. His wife, Edith Wilson, played a significant role in helping him manage his responsibilities during this time. The stroke had a major impact on Wilson's ability to lead the country. Many people questioned whether he was still capable of being president, but he refused to step down. As a result, Wilson's second term was marked by a lack of clear leadership, and many of his policies and ideas were left unfinished. Despite his declining health, Wilson continued to advocate for his vision of a better world. He remained committed to the ideals of peace, democracy, and international cooperation. But his physical and mental health made it difficult for him to achieve many of his goals. Chapter 8. Post-Presidency and Legacy. After leaving the presidency in 1921, Woodrow Wilson retired to private life in Washington, D.C. He continued to write and speak about the importance of international cooperation and the need for a peaceful world. Wilson's health continued to be a problem, and he spent much of his time recovering from his stroke. Although Wilson did not return to public office, his legacy as a reformer and a leader in global diplomacy remains important. His efforts to create the League of Nations were a precursor to the United Nations, which was established after World War II. His work on economic and social reforms helped lay the groundwork for the New Deal policies of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Woodrow Wilson's presidency was a time of great change for the United States and the world. His vision of a better, more just world influenced future generations of leaders and shaped the course of American history. Wilson died on February 3, 1924, at the age of 67. But his impact on the world continues to be remembered. Chapter 9. Wilson's influence on American politics. Woodrow Wilson's impact on American politics was profound. His presidency helped establish the foundation for the modern American state, with policies that promoted government involvement in the economy, workers' rights, and education. Wilson's ideas about democracy, governance, and human rights helped shape the political landscape for decades to come. Wilson's leadership during World War I and his vision for international cooperation left a lasting impact on American foreign policy. While the United States did not join the League of Nations, Wilson's ideals about collective security and the importance of diplomacy influenced American foreign policy in the 20th century. Despite the challenges and controversies of his presidency, Wilson is remembered as one of the key figures in American history. His commitment to progressivism and his efforts to bring peace to the world marked him as a leader who shaped both the future of his country and the world. Chapter 10. Conclusion. Woodrow Wilson's presidency was a transformative period in American history. His progressive reforms changed the political landscape, and his leadership during World War I helped shape the modern world. Wilson's vision of a world based on cooperation and democracy continues to influence global politics today. While not all of Wilson's ideas were fully realized during his lifetime, his legacy as a leader who fought for social justice, democracy, and peace remains strong. His work helped lay the foundation for future generations to build upon. Wilson's dedication to making the world a better place, despite the challenges he faced, marks him as one of the most influential presidents in U.S. history.